And here with us now, as more and more states adopt stay-at-home measures, is Charles Cooley Stimson, Senior Legal Fellow and Manager at the Heritage Foundation. Cooley, thanks for joining us. Talk to us about what states and local authorities are doing to make sure people stay at home.
Yeah, so the states under their state constitutions have ample legal authority through the governor to issue suggestions, which we've seen in the beginning, to stay at home, wash your hands, not be in groups of 10 or more, and things like that, to now executive orders, which have the force of law across the country in the various states where the governors have done this, which can be not only enforced by using the police to enforce it, just a show of presence, or arresting people, fining people, jailing people if necessary, and we hope it doesn't come to that. But they are allowed to do that, and in fact, it's the governor's province to take care of the health and safety of the citizens. It's not the federal government's job to do that under the Constitution.
So how much can they enforce these stay-at-home measures? You know, you mentioned the police and people out and about kind of patrolling, but I guess how realistic is it that they would actually enforce these measures?
Well, I think most people are just going to do what they're told to do because they want to be socially responsible people. But there are going to be a few people who are going to ignore these rules. And I think it's those people that the governors are rightfully targeting, and the police will rightfully warn, and then sternly warn, and then give a fine to, and if ultimately necessary, jail. Remember, back in 1905, the Supreme Court issued a decision called Jacobson against Massachusetts, which held the proposition that you could be forcibly vaccinated against your will, that for the smallpox vaccine, and that was entirely within state authority to do that. So they certainly, in this context, can arrest people if they violate the governor's orders.
Yeah. And what about testing? Do state and local authorities have the authority to make people get tested for COVID-19?
They do. Now, I have not seen any state executive orders by governors that have ultimately demanded that yet, but we could see that. I think, look, for the most part, people want to see this virus go away. They want their loved ones and families to be protected. They're going to do what's right by their family. I mean, the bedrock principle of society is the family, so people are going to protect their families. I'm doing that for mine, so are my neighbors. So we're talking about a small sliver of people who simply, for whatever reason, want to violate these common sense temporary orders so that the virus is suppressed.
Yeah. You know, in places like Italy and China and these other places, we've seen them go to martial law. Do you think we could see that here in the United States? I
doubt it. Look, we have a different governmental structure than our brothers and sisters in Europe. We are a federal republic. So the states, the 50 individual sovereigns, are their own sovereigns, and they're run by a governor who's the chief executive of the states. The federal government oversees that, but we have a separation of powers between federal and state. So could the state governors call up their National Guard? Sure, they do that all the time for natural disasters and things like that. Could they use their National Guard to enforce those quarantine orders? They could, although the police seem to be sufficing now. Can we envision a scenario where the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, is going to call in the U.S. military to enforce a national quarantine? I don't think we're going to get there, not even close.
All right, Cooley Stimson with the Heritage Foundation, we appreciate your expertise and for being with us today. Thank you.